the fans make a sport. The fans make the sport. The sport without the fans is nothing. If I would have been there, I would have tried to keep Hülkenberg there on the side of Oliver Behrmann. I remember the shock moment, but I remember also the good moment when I saw him coming out of the car, and I want to keep that one into me. The three of them, they were racing car drivers before. I wasn't, so, and I'm pretty happy with that one, because obviously they didn't make it to be a race car driver, so they had no talent, so they did the wrong thing. I didn't even try it, you see.
You're basically saying they're a failed racing driver?
Correct.
You're obviously a man from Italy that speaks English predominantly for work and German, and you live in America. There must be a lot of confusion. Which language do you think in now?
I always think in the language I'm talking. I'm not translating. I'm not now, you speak in English, I translate either from German or Italian to English. No, I think in English, and the same I do when I speak in any other language, just to be quicker.
Obviously the fans is a big thing, because you've gone from being someone that's formed a team, and you talk about this in the book Unfiltered, how you basically got the Formula One team going. And then suddenly with Drive to Survive, you've suddenly got a whole new legion of fans. How do you deal with that? Because you're suddenly a lot more recognisable.
Yeah, it's one of these things. It comes because it's not something, normally to achieve something, you have to work for it. I mean, nothing comes for free. But I never thought I contributed something special that I get fans for myself. And that was never the aim. I worked for a race team, which you want to do good results. I'm in racing since almost 40 years now. And that's what I like to do. And as you rightly said, all of a sudden, people know you, people ask you for photos. In the beginning, you don't realize actually what is happening, because what is happening here, and I didn't watch any of it, so, but then you get used to it after a while. I mean, the first year or the first 2 years are a little bit more difficult, because people recognize you, and you're not aware that they recognize you because they saw you on TV, which I didn't see myself again. So you think, did I know this person or not? Did I just forget who is? But after a while, you just get used to it. And I'm always saying, the fans make a sport. The fans make the sport. The sport without the fans is nothing, because who should support it financially is the fans which interact, which consume it, which made it possible to have the sport going. Every sport is like this, not only Formula One. So for me, stopping to take a picture with a fan is actually no problem at all. Obviously, sometimes you need to run somewhere and you cannot stop, and people tell you need to go. But otherwise, when I see somebody, I'm always very happy, because I respect what they do. They watch the sport. We are able to work in because of them.
I don't want to spoil the ending of the book, because we all know that obviously you're now the former team principal of Haas, and there's an interesting story about how you found out from Gene that you were no longer employed there. But one thing you do speak about is that you got a lot of positive messages when it was announced to the public from fans. Did that surprise you at all? Because obviously the world of social media, it can be quite negative, and obviously it's a big announcement, and maybe things weren't going as they should have done.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really surprise me, because in the end, Haas was a team. It was not winning, but it got a lot of sympathy from people, because we always had something going on. We always were good for a story, and normally I was part of this story, so people quite liked it. But as you say, social media is not always good to you. But also, I fully know and respect that, because if you've got a lot of people which like what you're doing and they're positive, there is people which don't like it, but you have to live with that. You cannot just say, I just want everything to be positive, because there's very few people, if any, which are achieving this, so you have to live with that, and that's part of being a little bit more in the public or in the spotlight, that you have people which say this is great, but then some say this is completely bad, so I personally don't read a lot into social media, neither positive or negative, because then you don't stop anymore to look at yourself. And as I said before, that is one of the reasons I don't watch Drive to Survive. I don't go and look up a lot of what people think of me. I do what I like, and I always say, if somebody doesn't like what I do, they just don't have to watch it. It's pretty easy.
I think a lot of people appreciate that you are who you are, and that's very evident from everything you do, not just Drive to Survive, but from everything we see of you and now your media career as well. Obviously, your book, Unfiltered, I've read most of it at this point. There's a lot of swearing in it, which is true to who you are. Do you know just how many F words there are in that book?
No, I don't want to know.
No, I can tell you.
How many are there?
How many do you think there are?
About 100.
197.
187 and
197.
Almost 200.
Yeah. That's quite, I thought there'd be more, maybe.
Yeah, you know, I getting older, I getting tamer, you know.
You're mellowing.
Yeah,
you're
mellowing, yeah.
How many are there?
That's not so many, 20.
4.
4 only,
4.
yeah, that's nothing.
4 made the cut.
On the next book, we need to put more in again, no?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, we need to better that one, you know.
You talk about some of the people that were there at the start in this book, and I know that Toto Wolff is someone that's written the foreword in your book, and a very nice gesture there, talking about how you're one of the Austrians to them. He also says here, I'm sure too his adventures at the sharp end of Formula One are not over yet. I know you've been quite outspoken about that you're enjoying what you're doing right now. Have you had offers? Have there been offers to be back in the paddock in a working capacity as you know it before your media career?
Yeah, I had some talks, but they didn't go as it was planned. But I'm not really looking for it. You know, it's not something I don't want to. I'm not around looking for a job in Formula One. If there is something going on, you know what I'm interested in. There is a good project going on where somebody says, let's try to do this. Are you on board? And I would do it. But just to go and get the job. You know, also in my career, not at that point anymore, that, you know, at all costs I want to work just to have a job from 7 in the morning until 9 in the evening, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, you know, is something I'm getting a little bit more, thinking about spending more time with the family as well. But anyway, if the right thing comes up, I still have got the energy and and the passion for it, but it needs to be right. That is my first thing. It needs to be right. It's not just to have a job.
What do you make of, in the book obviously Haas is so close to you because of how it formed and how it was run. What do you make of the new driver lineup for next year? Because obviously it must be like watching something that you were so involved in and suddenly you have no control over. What do you make of their choice with Esteban and Ollie?
I mean, with Ollie, that was already a plan when I was there in 2023. It was the plan to give him 2 FP1s, to give him 6 FP1s this year in 24. See if he's doing good, because he's a Ferrari driver. I had that talks with Fred. If he's doing good, the aim should be to have him in a race seat as a Ferrari junior driver in 25, and that is what's happening, because Ollie did a very good job. You know, whatever he did good, and I think for him is very nice. I mean, for Esteban Ocon, if they think he's the best, I think also the market, there was not a lot of choice, and you know, I mean, Esteban is a good driver, so for sure, let's see what he can do. I would have tried, if I would have been there, I would have tried to keep Hülkenberg there on the side of Oliver Behrman.
On a serious note, when we look back at the most challenging thing that happened in your career, and this may not be the most challenging thing, but obviously there's the Romain Grosjean accident. How often do you think back to that? Because it's one of those things where obviously it was a horrendous thing at the time. We've all seen it on Drive to Survive. Obviously you've not seen it on Drive to Survive, but you lived it. We now see, like, the car, for example, is on display in London in the exhibition, which is kind of a haunting thing to see, but it's very important to show that safety has improved so much since Formula One started. How often, I know people probably ask you about it a lot, how often do you think about that emotional time? Because it's quite traumatic for everyone involved.
Yeah, it is quite traumatic, but in the end it had a good ending, you know, so you think also positive about it. It's not a negative thinking. You remember the moment when you didn't know, and the shock when you realized it's our car burning there. But then you think it, as you just rightly said, you know, thanks to the safety features in these cars, he survived, you know, and that is a happy ending. So I don't look back as a bad thing. I look back, it started as a bad thing, but it worked out good, because a lot of people put a lot of effort in to try to make this happen, that something like this you survive, because motorsport will always be dangerous, and there will be always the next dramatic thing happening. But as long as the FIA, the federation, keeps on top of that one with safety regulation changes, improving them. Like after that accident, it was improved again, because there was things which weren't right, like ripping the rear end off. That has changed now, you know, side impact, how the fuel tank is attached to the chassis. That all changed, and that's why I see it as a positive. It ended good, you know. Obviously, Romain has got some scars, but I mean, he's not bitter about that, because he knows the other thing which could have happened to him. So you're always happy. So I see it also. Yeah, I remember the shock moment, but I remember also the good moment when I saw him coming out of the car, and I want to keep that one into me.
Obviously, that's the worst moment in the paddock. We've seen across the years lots of laughs. There's videos of you with other team principals having a laugh. Fred Vasseur, there's some great moments where you're joking with him and Matteo as well. Is there a moment in your career in the paddock that has made you laugh uncontrollably and you just can't get away from it? Because we've seen you angry, but we see you happy a lot as well.
Yeah. I'm bipolar. Yeah. I'm very happy or very angry. Yeah. Both of them. No. No, there is not one moment where you really just laugh about. I mean, I always enjoy good moments because you know that you have to work hard, you compete out there, which is, what I call fighting. Obviously, we're not fighting, but we are fighting on the track for the best we can do, everybody. But then it's always good to have, as a human being, good relationships with people, to be open about it and not put yourself in a position that you're getting obsessed by negativity, we are all, in the end, Formula One is a sport. That's what I always say, we have to remember that one. Yeah, it's very important, it's a big business, but in the end, it's business of sport. It's not, we are not involved in saving lives or anything, we are not involved in anything like this. So we always have to also put ourselves in a position to say, we don't have to take us too serious.
Every team principal I've spoken to this year, I've asked the same question, and as a former team principal, you still qualify. If there was a race between you and these three team principals, who's going to win this race? And I think you're going to be the first person to give me a different answer. Zak Brown, Toto Wolff, Christian Horner. You get in a car, it's the same car. It could just be a Citroen. It could just something, everyone's on an equal playing field. Who's going to win that race?
I would say Zak, because he drives all the time race cars, so he has got the biggest training. He's always training. I think Zak doesn't love anything more than driving a race car, so I think that's what he would win.
Okay, you're the first person who's not said yourself.
Okay, no, I was not the three of them, they were racing car drivers before. I wasn't, so, and I'm pretty happy with that one, because obviously they didn't make it to be a race car driver, so they had no talent, so they did the wrong thing. I didn't even try it, you see.
You're basically saying they're a failed racing driver.
Correct.
Excellent. Final thing, you obviously got the book out at the moment and you have the tour that's going on, which must be great to see the fans in person. What is next in terms of things that are coming out? You're an author, you're a podcaster, you're a media personality. What other strings? I know you've got your guest house as well. What else are you going to add to your portfolio?
I don't know yet, but in the moment I'm so busy that I cannot add anything. I better try to make to do good what you just said, all these things. No, there's nothing really out there. I mean, obviously, I always work on a few projects, but you never know if they come up, and I'm not going to tell them because otherwise people start already to speculate too much. But there's always something going on in my life. But in the moment, I'm very, with the things you said, it keeps me very busy, and once Haas ended, I didn't want it to be this busy anymore, and then everybody talks me into do something, and I hardly say no. So, here I am, being too busy to do anything else.
We'll continue to watch, and you can drop these things on us as a big surprise. Guenther, thank you for chatting to me, and best of luck with the book.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.